trying to analyze the report, we need to understand a few basic steps. There are different parameters through the report, each of them separate from the rest. So look at each part of the report as a separate entity, and at the end of the report you could integrate it together to make more sense. The first parameter that is visible on the report is the left-right brain functioning, which talks about 50-50 percentage. So whether if you are more than 50 on either of those left or right brain, then you can understand the dominance of left or right brain, whether you're logical or holistic. Second part of the report is about the 5 lobes. So you need to know how input comes into the brain by ways of auditory input, visual input or kinesthetic input, how that information comes to the frontal lobe, which involves logical thinking, and based on that how decisions are made from the prefrontal lobe. So an average of 20% for each of those scores is very essential. So if you find that whatever is above 20 indicates a dominance of that factor, below 20 indicates a weakness in that factor. So if you analyze how input comes in, which input is more dominant, how the brain processes information, and how decisions are made. So 20% is the cutoff mark for evaluating whether you have a dominant or a less dominant score. The third parameter is about the left-right functioning, where we're talking about the left brain, right brain, and how it influences the opposite hand. So the left hand indicates the right brain and the right hand indicates the left brain. So you have 10 fingers, and if you look at each finger, it has a psychology of its own. And each of those fingers, if you see the next column, is all about the ridge count or the percentage based on the ridge count. So higher the ridge count, sharper would be the intellect of that person, or sharper would be that particular ability. And you see after that you have ranking, where you have first rank being your most dominant strength and 10th rank being your most weak strength compared to the other strengths. And onto the other next column you would see a pattern which shows what kind of fingerprint pattern you have, which also indicates a certain kinds of characteristics or traits. So when you look at this third part of the report, you need to understand the left hand, the right hand, the ridge count, the ranking, and the kind of design or pattern of the fingerprint in order to make a holistic evaluation. But you can look at the ranks of the each finger to understand the dominance of each finger and how they are all integrated together. The fourth part of the report talks about the quotients, how emotional you are, how much of intellect that you use, whether you are ready for adversity, when in case of any situations, whether you are able to face crisis, and CQ, your creative ability. Here again the cutoff is 20, so anything above 20 would be a dominance on that parameter. The fifth talks about TFRC, the total finger ridge count. There's a tabular chart given in the report itself where you can understand how fast you learn or how much more inputs is necessary for you to learn effectively. The sixth part of the report talks about whether you are a motive learner or a reflective learner. So whether you jump to action based on the opportunities that are there in life, or whether you think over everything before you take the first step forward. So again here 50-50 would be the percentage. Anything above 50 would be that particular area dominance. The seventh aspect talks about bird personalities, 4 main birds: the dove, owl, peacock and eagle, and the percentage on that will reveal the strength or dominance of that particular personality. The seventh parameter talks about the bird personalities, and looking at the percentage of these 4 parameters or 4 personalities, you can understand what kind of personality or character traits that you have in you. The 8th parameter talks about what kind of a learner you are, or whole brain learning, where again it will be influenced by the bird personality traits that you have and what kind of a person and how do you go about learning in life. So looking at the percentage, you will understand the dominance of that particular trait. Ninth, when you come to the multiple intelligences, since there are 8 multiple intelligences, a score of 10 is the average. Everything above that is your strength, and you will know that those are the areas in which you can venture out to start off a career. The 10th aspect talks about the environment, and here again, looking at the dominance of the scores, you can analyze what kind of an environment would be best suited for you. The 11th and 12th parameters would be about education. What are the different educational streams that are available and which would suit you more? And 12th would be what kind of career, the top 3 careers which would be ideal for a person who's taken that report. So first go through the report in its totality, read through every aspect of it, understand whether you have that parameter or not, and whether it makes sense that you have it or you don't have it. And then you need to overall integrate all the aspects in order to understand it holistically.